Hello everyone. Here I want to do an example to tell you how to interpret dimension limits when there is GD&T. So here we have this part, the front and top view, and there are a bunch of GD&T feature control frames, right? So there are datums A, B, and C, right? A is the back surface, B is the bottom, C is the left. And A has flatness, C has perpendicularity with A and B, B has perpendicularity with A. This edge here, right, the surface, the edge corresponding to it has a profile with point 2. That hole has a position. These two holes both have positions. And then also this edge here, this one has a profile. Then anything else that doesn't have it also has this extra profile. So anything that is not specified here also comes, all surfaces come with a profile of 500 thou with respect to A, B, and C. Okay, so we want to look at that, and in this case, I assume that this should be 2 and not 3. There are 2 holes as far as I can see here. Okay, so if we want to interpret some dimensions here, the dimensions that are shown between these red arrows, so I want with you to practice on what are the maximum values between these red arrows and these pictures. Now for the dimensions that are between the holes or between a hole and a surface, like this 2, or this 2, right, which is center of the hole to the C, or the center of these 2 holes with respect to each other, it depends on which size the holes are made, because there is what involved? There is MMC here, okay? This one is regardless of feature size, okay? But this one is MMC. So we want to see if there is MMC, there is regardless of feature size, there is no modifier or something. What are these maximum dimensions? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So we start with the top view, and we start with these 2 first. So here we are talking about the thickness of this back wall. As you can see, that dimension is 5, but that wall, that front wall of it, has this profile, which is 0.2. And as you know, a profile is symmetric, right? So if you remember, a profile tolerance zone is what is symmetric with respect to the true surface. So here the true surface has offset of 5, but half of this 0.2, which is 0.1, can be added or subtracted. So the maximum dimension for these 2 is going to be what? 5.1. Okay, that's the dimension that you have for there. Then we go for what? We go for this one. On the other side, we have this dimension, which is the overall depth of the part, which is 20, right? And it's measured with respect to A. But if you look at this other end of it, this edge here, that does not directly have a what? Directly, it does not have a profile, so it will follow this unless otherwise specified profile, which is 0.5, and half of 0.5 is 0.25 plus 20, so this one is going to be what? 20.25. Okay, then we go for this one. What about this? So here the default dimension is of course 20 minus 5, so it's 15. And then what? So this end of it comes from this profile, and this other end of it comes from this other profile, right? So here you have to consider both of these what? Profiles. And if you want the maximum dimension, that means this top edge here, let me do a little bit of cleaning. You have them, so maybe I clean up a little bit. Okay, now that you have all of these, let me do a little bit of cleaning. So in this case, if I zoom in, this wall can be back by half of 0.2, and this wall can be front by half of 0.5. So you can have this offset of 0.25 and this offset of 0.1. So some of them is 0.35, and this distance, right, from here to here, between these two edges, this guy is 15. So the whole thing should be what? For this case, should be 15.35. Okay? So you see here, you need to pay attention to all of the details. Then let's do the one between the holes. So now we go for the one between the holes. And that is this guy. So that's the dimension between the holes, and here it depends on what size the holes are made. So here, for a practice, I consider two different scenarios. First, assume that these holes are made at MMC. So if the holes are made, these two holes, if they are made at MMC, which is what we have over here, then the amount of allowable position offset is 0.35, and remember that a position tolerance zone is also symmetric. So not only the profile is symmetric, also position tolerance zone is basically symmetric. Okay, so that 0.35 that you have with respect to the center of the hole, okay, with respect to the center of the hole, you have half of 0.35 here and half of 0.35 there. So the diameter is going to be 0.35. And similarly for this one, right? Again, this diameter is 0.35. And the distance between them is, of course, 75 minus 30, so that is 40. So the maximum distance they can have with respect to each other is half of 0.35 plus half of 0.35 is going to be one full 0.35 plus 40. So it should be what? It should be 40.35 if the holes are made at MMC. Now, if the holes are made at LMC, so they are made basically a little bit bigger. How much bigger? Well, let's see. If you look at the dimensions, so what are your limits? Your limits are 6.15 and 5.95, right? So 5.95 is your MMC and 6.15 is your LMC. So the difference between them is about not about, exactly 0.2. When you have this, if you made the holes bigger and you deviate from MMC 0.2, this 0.2 will be added to this 0.35. So now you can go up to 0.55 for each one. So these guys are going to be 0.55. And so when you add 2 halves of 0.55 plus 40, now you go to 40.55. And if you make them at the nominal dimension, which is 6 mil, well, how much 6 mil off is from the MMC? You see is 0.05. So that 0.05 should be added to this number. So you're looking at 40.4. Okay, so depending on how big the holes are made, the maximum dimension between their centers would change, because here we have this condition modifier, this MMC dimension over the modifier over there. Okay, so these are the ones in the top view. So here we have seen all the ones in the top view. Now it's time to go to the one in the front view. So let's go to the front view now. So what do we have in front view? So one is this. Well, 2 times 6, so of course it's 6. This end of it is B. Okay, that's a datum. The other end of it follows this profile tolerance, 0.2. Half of it can be above it, half of it below it, so 0.1 above, 0.1 below. And that is 6, so that offset at maximum is 6.1. Okay, what about the big dimension? So here we're going to focus on this one. Well, as you can see, it is 50. Again, the bottom of it is the datum. The top of it has no profile or anything, this part of it, right? That has nothing. Therefore, let me just put it there. So it's that one. Has nothing. Therefore, we have to follow what? We have to follow the general one, which is 0.5, half of it 0.25 above, half of it 0.25 below. So this guy is going to go to what? 50.25. Okay. Now let's clean up and go to the next one. So for the next one, we choose some of these horizontal dimensions. So first, let's go over this big dimension. As you can see, it's 100. The left side of it is C. The right side of it, again, as you can see, the right side of it, the right edge of it, basically does not follow anything, right? It does not follow anything, any specific profile. So again, we have to go with this 0.5, half of it add to 100. So for this, we are looking at 100.25. Okay, and then let's go for the whole position, which is this one, which you can see is 35, but the position of the hole has a position tolerance at 0.2, and there is no modifier, so it is regardless of what feature size, there is no modifier. So the tolerance is always 0.2 regardless of how much this hole is made, because this hole can go up to 0.5, 0.05, and the minimum is just 18. And regardless of which number you make it, whether you make it 18, 18.02, 18.05, whatever dimension that you make it, this dimension is always going to be maximum of it, 35 plus what? Half of 0.2, so it's going to be 35.1, and minimum of it is going to be 34.9. Okay, so that does not depend on anything. That's called the regardless of feature size. Okay, so I assume you learned something about reading dimensions when you have GD&T symbols and feature control frames, specifically with position and profile, which are the common things for a feature of size. Under having a modifier or no modifier, you can interpret the maximum or minimum dimensions that you can possibly have. Hopefully video was useful to you. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.